In response to Valentina Gomez, who described the Pakistanis of being dirty. Thank God, in UK, to call a Pakistani Paki is an offense that qualifies the person to be in jail, just to call him Paki. But anyway, so in response to Valentina Gomez, who described the Pakistanis of dirty people, because their country is dirty, we do not deny that there's filth in daily life in Pakistan. We don't deny that. But this is because of the lack of commitment to Islam, which always order hygiene, cleanliness, especially circumcising, what Christianity does not put in consideration as well, taking not their God Jesus as a model for them, since he, the God, got circumcised, according to the Bible. So your God circumcised, but you don't. So you are, in the perspective of Jesus, dirty. Those people are circumcised, unlike Christians. So don't forget that. Our religion commands us to purify ourselves from, and how to purify ourselves from. We clean ourselves with water. If you go to Turkey, you'll find a water sprayer, such thing that you do not find neither in America nor in Europe. It is important to purify ourselves by water because napkins, tissues do not remove it completely. So who is more proper and cleaner? So you don't know how to clean yourselves with water, for toilet papers are not enough. But it's enough for you, not for me. Sadly, I have to remind you about what your Bible ordered a prophet to do, to excrete and eat what he excrete. He ordered the prophet Ezekiel to excrete and eat, and the people of Israel, what he excrete. That is in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 4, verse 12. And also, he talks about people who eat their own dung and drink their own urine. 2 Kings, chapter 18, verse 27. We do not have something like that, especially in the Quran. To eat their piss, to eat their dung as a punishment, to punish people by ordering them to eat what they excrete and drink what they piss. We don't have in the Quran something similar to this as we find in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 4, verse 12. Yes, one of the factors of lack of hygiene in Pakistan is poverty. There is extreme poverty in Pakistan. And perhaps this is the reason. Why didn't you mention, for example, Malaysia or Singapore, which is led by a Muslim woman? You're nothing but an agenda, a pawn, or a Trojan horse. We're not unaware of the likes of you, people like you, whom motivated and driven by Zionism, which pushes people like you to incite hatred and bigotry. Also, I mentioned the reason is the lack of adherence to Islam, which commands purity in both its forms. There are two forms of purity: spiritual and physical. Islam combines physical and spiritual cleanliness. The purity of body and clothing is a condition for prayer. In Islam, ritual bathing, ghusl, is recommended almost to be obligatory every week, especially before going to the Friday prayer. As for the daily, it should be at least 5 times a day, taking ablution. At least 5 times we wash the interior of our ears and the back of our ears at least 5 times a day, which many people do not pay attention to. Maybe once in a day. They don't pay attention to the remainings that kept on them. Go to the books of fiqh, jurisprudence. They always begin the rulings of Islam by the chapter of purity, cleanliness. According to your own Bible, if you have the period, you are dirty. If you touch the wall becomes dirty. If you sit on a chair, the chair becomes dirty. So you're calling the Pakistanis dirty, but in the perspective of the Bible, you are dirty. In Leviticus chapter 15, verse 19, if you deliver a child, if the child, you remain dirty for 1 week. If the child is female like you, your mother becomes dirty for 2 weeks. Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1. You don't know that? You're ignorant. Now, what we talked about is the physical purity, but there is a primer purity, and that is the spiritual one. And that is to cleanse your heart from paganism, because paganism is the worst kind of filth and dirt. That is why Allah the Almighty says, O you who had believed, indeed, the polytheists are unclean, so let them not approach the sacred masjid after this year of theirs. Allah is talking about the filth of the spirit, the filth of the heart. That is paganism. The Muslims, despite that, they used until now shaking hands with the pagans, with those who worship Jesus, the human being who used to be praying to Allah. And we do not wash our hands from shaking hands with the pagans. So Allah is talking about the spiritual filth, and that is the filth of paganism. According to the book of Luke, chapter 22, verse 41, Jesus was praying to Allah. According to the book of Hebrews, chapter 5, verse 7, Matthew, chapter 26, verse 39, Jesus used to be bowing down with his face to the ground, praying to God. God doesn't pray to God. If God prayed to God, Jesus is no more God, nor the three are one, because one is praying to the second. The other thing is that Pakistan is not the only country suffering from filth. Why didn't you mention the filth of the life in India, for example? Indian cities, Mexican cities, places you came from originally. In fact, drug gangs and prostitution are more powerful than the governments in the places you came from. Many cities in the Philippines suffer from extreme filth. So, should we say that Christianity is filthy because of the filth in the Philippines or in Mexico, Colombia? In America alone, we have something like 50,000 blonde Americans, men and women. They convert to Islam. So they became filthy to you? Why do you talk about the filth in Pakistan? Because of Islam? Because of the Muslims? 50,000 Americans are becoming Muslims. So you affiliate them to Pakistan if they become Muslims? In fact, historically, Europeans, including the French, were known for their lack of bathing in the Middle Ages, which led to widespread use of perfumes. This is what recently Putin talked about. In a matter of fact, his country was included historically. I mean, historians talked about that. He was condemning Western Europe's with this, but I have read that even in Russia, they used to be having this problem as well. We cannot deny the presence of filth in daily life. However, the reason for this is the lack of adherence to Islam, which commands purity in both its spiritual and physical forms. Islam combines physical and spiritual cleanliness. So, I give my respect to the UK for banning you from entering the UK. Don't think that this will be stopping people from hating what the Jews are doing in Palestine. No, it won't work. It fails.